Hello, welcome to Anita the Pedagogue channel. Today we are looking at a poetry analysis of Leopold Senghor's poem, I Will Pronounce Your Name. So for our lesson objectives, we will look at a biography of the poet, the title, the structure of the poem, its analysis, the literary devices in the poem, the themes, and some likely examination questions. Let's begin with a biography of Leopold Sedar Senghor. He is the greatest of the Francophone African poets you ever read. He was born in Senegal in 1906 and was schooled in Dakar and Paris, France. He was the first West African to graduate from the Sorbonne and teach in a French university. He is acclaimed as the father of negritude, a philosophy that affirms Black identity and touts Black man's values as something to be celebrated and proud of. His poetry shows it in abundance. He fought with the French in the Second World War and became a prisoner of war in then Nazi Germany. Senghor was a statesman, and in 1960 he became the president of the Federal Republic of Mali, and later in the same year, the president of the Independent Republic of Senegal. He was president until 1980. His poetry revealed the contrast between the French way of life imposed on French African colonies under a purported policy of assimilation and the original unblemished values of the Africans. In his writings, he praises negritude while denouncing French ideals. Now, let's move on and look at the title, I'll Pronounce Your Name. This title suggests that the poem speaker is fascinated or interested in mentioning and acknowledging a person, in fact, the person's name especially. The poem reveals the person as Nait, a woman the speaker is obsessed with. Let's go on and look at the poem. I'll pronounce your name. I'll pronounce your name, Nait. I'll declaim you, Nait. Night, your name is mild like cinnamon. It is fragrance in which lemon grove sleeps. Night, your name is the sugared clarity of blooming coffee trees, and it resembles the savannah that blossoms forth under the masculine ardor of the midday sun. Name of dew, fresher than shadows of tamarind, fresher even than the short dusk, when the heat of the day is silenced. Night, that is the dry tornado, the hard clap of lightning. Night, coin of gold, shining cool, you, my night, my sun. I am your hero, and now I have become your sorcerer in order to pronounce your names. Princess of Elisa, banished from Futa on that fateful day. Now, this poem is a free verse poem with one stanza and 10 lines. And as you can see, the lines are uneven. Some lines are longer whilst others are short. It is a eulogy, and a eulogy is a speech or a piece of writing that praises someone or something highly, especially a tribute to someone who has just died. In this instance, Nait is banished. The diction used is simple with a few advanced vocabulary like the word declaim and ardor. We move on to look at the structure of the poem. We can say this poem is a one-stanza poem with 10 lines that are uneven. There is the use of enjambment in lines 3 to 4. It is a free verse poem that does not follow any regular pattern or rhyme scheme. It can be described as a lyric poem or lyrical poem. That is a poem in which the speaker expresses his feelings and emotions. The poet also presents a character in the first person to express his emotions. There is the constant repetition of Nait, the character to whom the speaker refers throughout the poem. So from this poem, we realize that the speaker of the poem is likely to be the poet, Senghor, pioneer of the negritude ideology that influences this poem. In the first line, he emphasizes his readiness to adore the name Nait by the expression I will pronounce your name, and also address her by saying I will declaim you. Nait is a female character created by the speaker with whom he expresses his profound admiration. The speaker praises the name of Nait by comparing it to the smell of cinnamon, a mild cooking spice which grows in Africa. Night is also compared and given a human attribute as a fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. The speaker goes on to compare the name Night to Africa. He proclaims, "Your name is the sugared clarity of blooming coffee trees, and it resembles the savannah that blooms forth under the masculine ardor of the midday sun." The savannah is said to refer to Africa, so the speaker's use of the African spice cinnamon, the Africa's use of coffee, lemon, these are all plants that grow in Africa. In other words, we can see that the speaker compares night to Africa, and so night symbolizes Africa in this poem. Also, there are coffee plants in Africa. The speaker explores the beauty and strength of Africa through the power of the name Night and how it comes forth passionately like the sun during the day. Night is compared to the early morning mist dew, which is more refreshing than the short dusk, which cools the environment before the heat comes forth. The power of her name is strong as a dry tornado and trembling like the clap of lightning, just as Africa experiences a blend of heat from the hot sun, harmattan, and heavy rains. The entire poem is an extended metaphor, which is a reference to Africa. The speaker's description continues as in line 8. He compares night, who symbolizes Africa, to something as beautiful and precious as gold coins, and ironically, the beauty of night is compared to the beauty and wealth of Africa by the use of shining coal. Coal is black and does not shine. Again, this goes for to show the ideas of negritude, where Africa's blackness is cherished deeply. Furthermore, the speaker contradicts himself by referring to the beauty of night by saying, "My night, my sun." The speaker shows how he loves his blackness and Africa because even as the night is black, it is as valuable and essential as the sun. In line 9, the speaker introduces himself. "I am your hero and now I have become your sorcerer to pronounce your names." The speaker is ready to celebrate Night after we see in line 10 that Night is Princess of Elisa, banished from Futa on the fateful day. As a sorcerer, the speaker courageously mentions the identity of Night. He states where she is from and what happened to her. She was banished from Futa. Ironically, despite Night's excellent and positive attributes, she is still banished from her home. This alludes to Africa. With all its rich resources and fortunes, Africa is still developing and is not really valued or seen in the rich resources that Africa possesses. Let's go on and look at the literary devices in this poem. So the poem is an apostrophe. An apostrophe is a literary device in which an entity that is not present is addressed by a speaker in a literary work. In this case, Night is addressed throughout the poem without her being present, so it is an apostrophe. Again, we can see that this poem is an extended metaphor. An extended metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things that continue throughout a series of sentences in a paragraph or lines in a poem, and Night is compared to various objects and things in bid to describe her name, beauty, and the power of her womanhood. So Night, that is Africa, is described based on so many things, and that is how come it is a metaphor, because it's compared to a lot of things. Personification. Personification is a literary device in which an idea or thing is given human attributes and or feelings, or is spoken of as if it were human. And we see examples in these expressions. It is the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. So here Night is compared to a fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps, and we know a lemon grove cannot sleep, so that is personification. Again, the expression the hard clap of lightning. Definitely lightning cannot be clapped, not to talk of it being hard. So that's also personification. Again, we see in this expression, and it resembles the savannah that blossoms forth under masculine ardor of the midday sun. Again, comparing a night to the masculine ardor of the midday sun. The midday sun does not really have any masculine physical qualities. So here as well, we can say there's been the use of personification. We move on to another literary device present in this poem, irony. It is a literary technique where the intended meaning of words contradicts or are different from their literal meaning. So an example is what we see in the expression shining coal in line 8 and the expression you are my ninth, my son. So coal doesn't shine, so it's an irony to say shining coal. Again, you are my ninth and my son. The ninth and the sun contradict. They are two different things, so putting them together creates an irony. Symbolism, savannah, midday. These expressions all represent the African continent. And symbolism is the use of words or images to represent specific concepts, people, objects, or events. Oxymoron. Two words or phrases used together that have or seem to have opposite meanings. So the expression you, my ninth, my son is an oxymoron. Onomatopoeia. Using words to imitate sounds. So the expression the hard clap of lightning, clap, is an onomatopoeia. Repetition. Repetition refers to the use of the same word or phrase multiple times, and I will has been repeated severally. Can also be said to be an anaphora. Again, night has been repeated 6 times, and that is for emphasis. The use of assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in words that are close to each other in a sentence or phrase. The sound I, night, shining, I, my, night, mine. In the expression night, coin of gold, shining coal, you, my ninth, my son. So we see the sound I, the vowel I, present in these expressions. Metaphor. A metaphor is a direct comparison between two things that are otherwise unrelated. Let's look at these expressions. And it resembles the savannah that blossoms forth under masculine ardor of the midday sun. Night is compared directly to the savannah that blossoms forth under the masculine ardor of the midday sun. Again, it is the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. Night is compared to the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. Night, your name is sugared clarity of blooming coffee tree. Night is compared to sugared clarity of blooming coffee tree. Name of dew. So here the name night is compared to the name of dew. Night, that is dry tornado. Night here is compared to dry tornado. Night, coin of gold. So here night is compared to a coin of gold. Let's move on and look at simile. A simile makes a comparison showing similarities between two different things using the words as, like, than, or resemble. So we see night, your name is mild cinnamon, where night's name is compared to cinnamon. It resembles the savannah, where the name night is said to look like the savannah. Imagery. Imagery is a literary device in which vivid description that appeals to a reader's senses is used to create an image or idea in the mind of the reader. So we have imagery that appeals to the sense of smell. An example is night, your name is mild like cinnamon. It is the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. It appeals to our sense of smell because cinnamon is a spice that has a unique fragrance, as well as the emphasis on fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. Again, we have some imagery that appeals to our sense of taste. The expression "night, your name is the sugar clarity of blooming coffee trees" appeals to our sense of taste because of the use of sugar in this expression, and also coffee. Night, your name is smelled like cinnamon. It is the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. Cinnamon as well has a very unique taste. There's also been the use of the sense of hearing in the expression "the hard clap of lightning." The hard clap, this shows that there is some sound, and so it appeals to our sense of hearing. Again, for imagery, the imagery that appeals to our sense of touch or feel. An example is when the heat of the day is silenced, and heat is something that we feel. The hard clap of lightning. So the expression clap also appeals to our sense of touch. We also have some expression that appeals to our sense of sight. Some examples include, "and it resembles the savanna that blossoms forth under the masculine ardor of the midday sun." So this gives us a mental picture of the savanna as well as the midday sun. Again, the use of the expression "name of dew, fresher than shadows of tamarind." Again, the expression tamarind gives a mental picture, a visual imagery of the tamarind fruit or plant. Night, coin of gold, shining cool. You, my night, my sun. This expression also appeals to our sense of sight because of the use of coin of gold, shining cool. You, my night, my sun. It brings images of these objects. Night, that is the dry tornado. Celebrating the beauty and wealth of Africa. In line with the principles of negritude, which includes appreciating and promotion of African culture and continent, Senghor uses the character Night, the Princess of Elisa, to represent Africa, even as he praises her. The speaker of the poem uses symbols that represent Africa, such as cinnamon, coffee, savanna, tamarind, coal. He goes on to celebrate Night's name and her beauty. The beauty and wealth of Africa are praised highly through the use of similes, metaphors, and personification. The resources of Africa, such as commercial plants and spices, are highlighted also. Night, your name is the sugar clarity of blooming coffee trees. Night, your name is smelled like cinnamon. It is the fragrance in which the lemon grove sleeps. So the use of the words coffee trees, cinnamon, lemon, these are commercial plants in Africa. The powerful nature of Africa is also explored. Night, that is the dry tornado, the hard clap of lightning. This reveals how strong the continent Africa is and the weather in Africa as well. Night, Africa is glorified in this poem, and the speaker compares Africa to a coin of gold to celebrate the wealth of Africa. Let's move on and look at another theme, which is love. The speaker of the poem expresses love and admiration for the character Night, the Princess of Elisa. The speaker uses various comparisons to show how much he loves and admires Night. He shows his obsession with the woman's name by mentioning her name Night 6 times in the 10-line poem. He carefully describes the physically attractive qualities of the speaker, Night, coin of gold, shining cool. He also speaks of other attributes which make him love Night, like how powerful she is. Night, that is a dry tornado, the clap of lightning. Eventually, the speaker's affection for Night turns him into a sorcerer so that he can reveal the identity of Night. The speaker's words reveal that he loves Night, who represents the African continent, by showering her with praises. This brings us to the end of our analysis. Let's look at some likely examination questions. I hope this lesson was useful to you. Put in your comments and questions and I'll respond to you. Do like, share, comment and subscribe to this channel. Until I come your way again, keep learning and be the best version of yourself.